Until the middle of the 19th century, Japan was an island. It is still an island country, of course. But until the middle of the 19th century, the Tokugawa shogunate government supported the country's geographical nature, isolating Japan literally from the rest of the world. The nation was self-sufficient and stood alone as a red dot in the center of an infinite white sheet. Trade was very limited, and only the Nagasaki harbor in the south was accessible to the ships of the Dutch East India Company. They were the only Western people that could try to reach Japan. In their complete isolation, Japanese artists had perfected a way of making art that was curiously well adapted to the possibility of being carried even to the other corner of the world, the woodcut. The drawing, only composed of black lines and flat colored fields, was curved on a wooden board that was then used as a matrix for printing on paper. The ukiyo-e style prints became very fashionable. They portrayed everyday scenes that, playing both with simple and deep meanings, reminded everyone the beauty but also the hardness of everyday life. But from the 8th of July 1853, things had changed. Mathew, Commodore of the US Navy, appeared in Tokyo Bay with his great black warships and asked, in the typical Western way, that in order to avoid cannon shots, the Japanese isolation should have ended. From that moment, not only the goods, but also the Japanese art come to the West more systematically. The European painters had spent centuries working hard on the geometric perspective, on the verisimilitude of representation, on the depth, on the chiaroscuro, on the shades of light and shadow. All that work was swept away by the Japanese prints. An absolute master of the genre was Katsushika Hokusai. Hokusai was a kind of Japanese version of the diamond artist, as his contemporary European colleges. Poor, then rich, then again poor, he lived traveling through Japan, changing his name and his house dozens of times, even to escape from the first creditors. His 46 views of the Mount Fuji became very popular in the West and had a shocking effect on artists of that time. In the great wave of Kanagawa, Hokusai hides a universal message in a simple work, composed only by three elements: the mountain, the boats, and the sea. The holy mountain, the Mount Fuji, the protagonist of the series, observes imperturbably the sea. Calm, with the snow-covered summit, apart, it watches over the events of the world. The boats, shaken by the sea, are full of tiny men, with blue dresses and shaved little heads, struggling to stay on board and to avoid shipwreck. And then the big wave, enormous, with its fringed edge, which seems to clothe the boats and draw them to the bottom. Hokusai creates a sublime scene in the Kantian meaning of the word. The strong force of nature could shatter the fragile resistance of the mankind from one moment to the next. The tragedy is going to take place. Fate seems sealed, but everything could still happen. Hokusai immortalizes this moment of uncertainty, the moment before, when there is still hope. He suggests an eternal lesson without pedantry, summarizing composition and technique, line and color in the best way, the maximum of artistic, visual, and communicative strength with the minimum effort.